What's up, faithful? Welcome back to The Saloon presented by Cisco. I'm your host, 49ers team reporter Briana Jeannel, and I'm sitting down with digital editor Brooke Evans and our friends of the podcast, Aubrey and Habes. Guy Haberman, Aubrey Tolliver, thank you so much for joining us. How excited are you for this 2026 season? And I want to get to know y'all a little bit more. I want the faithful to get to know y'all a little bit more. If they're true faithful, I'm sure they already know your guys' names and faces. Aubrey, feel free to share a little bit of your background and how excited you are for this 2026 season.
I am stoked. I'm stoked to be over here at the football side in the SAP Performance Facility, just watching our guys kind of come back to work, you know? So I have been the in-stadium host here. I'm going on my 5th year, but have been working in some capacity with the Niners. I'm going in my 10th year doing that. And just so excited. I am so local. I am disgustingly local, as they would say. I grew up in Sunnyvale, Santa Clara. My high school was in Santa Clara. I performed my cheer team for my high school team, performed at the groundbreaking ceremony here. So again, I am so happy to just be with my hometown team. 54-year season ticket holders, my family is. So yeah, I'm it's gross. It's honestly gross. I just went and just started working in my backyard.
What awesome history. We need to put your name on the 10-year wall.
That's right.
Absolutely. Where is that?
Next to George and Juice. It's right on the way to the locker room. We'll show you after this season. We're going to see y'all three up there.
My face. Just me, Juice, and Kittle's face. It's all beautiful right there.
And faithful, y'all know Habes, Guy Haberman. He was the voice of the Niners from the 2025 season. He did a few games actually, not just a couple. Habes, welcome back to the Saloon. We've had you on a few times. Give the faithful a little bit of your background.
Well, it was a lot of, filling in for Greg Papa a lot last year with Tim Ryan was a lot of fun. And so I'll be part of the broadcast team again this year, which, to do that for the whole year is going to be great, to be a part of the broadcast team. And I do a podcast and YouTube channel covering the Niners for several years, and I do a lot of college football and college basketball type broadcasting. But last year was my first year calling some Niners games, and it'll be great to be around even more now this year.
Well, what'd you think? Let's do a quick recap from the 2025 season. How are you feeling after how crazy of a whirlwind 2025 was?
Oh, well, I was going to say what I think is that when you show up, as you know, with the team on the road to the hotel at 10 p.m. and there's a full spread.
That's right.
That's good and bad at the same time.
You get in on the spread?
I mean, I will let everybody else go first, but then I get in on the spread.
We're the last ones to pick at it, but it's great.
Little steak and pasta at 10 p.m. Eastern. Never heard
There's
anybody.
Ice cream sundaes, milkshakes. You name it.
I think this year is so interesting. Like last year, the ending was so heartbreaking. But the season was so fulfilling because of everything they overcame, and I think what that has created is like momentum and hunger at the same time into the off season. So that's what makes, what's coming up here in these next few weeks so much fun.
And this was a busy off season. John Lynch got to work when it came to the draft. We went to the combine and caught up with him. Everything that happened, all the trades that happened, that bring us all the way to this Saturday, which is report day. All the guys are going to be back in the building. Just on the other side of this wall, they're already setting up the bleachers for the faithful to come watch 2026 training camp at the SAP Performance Facility. Faithful, this is going to be a fun one. Tickets are already sold out. I'm going to go through a bit of what the camp schedule looks like, some of the most important dates that fans should circle on their schedule, and from there we'll get into it. So let's see. We're going to kick it off with NFL Network's Back Together Weekend. This is when, fans can really show off their pride all across the nation and show off how big the 49ers faithful fan base is. I know we're international. They're going to be talking about the games that we're playing in Mexico City, in Australia. What are y'all looking forward to when it comes to how big this fan base is? We're global.
Truly, when we talk about the 49ers being an international team, it is.
Yeah.
It is
absolutely.
team. It is the Globes team. We like to coin that here.
We do. It is the Globes team.
So it's so exciting to see diehards come back here and just be able to experience 49er football in a training camp setting too. That is so different from any normal game day.
I also happened to be at some of the World Cup games, and it was so crazy how many 49er jerseys we saw out there. It was a game with Australia, and you would see 49er jerseys. So I think that's so fun. It's so exciting. We're excited to welcome all the faithful back here come training camp.
Yeah, we love the faithful. Absolutely. I mean, even outside of Levi Stadium, San Francisco the home of the Niners, but I was at Carnaval this offseason, and I was expecting to see all the teams' jerseys from across the world with the World Cup coming. There was more Niners jerseys, y'all, than there were soccer jerseys, which we love to see. All right, Thursday, August 6th is going to be our 87 Day presented by DevCon. This is also known as Dwight Clark Day. Habes, fill us in a little bit on the importance of Dwight Clark Day and who Dwight Clark is for this organization.
Well, I mean, he's so representative. You know, we talk about the World Cup. You know, which was obviously very highly watched and highly rated. I think over 60 million people watched the final game. But you know, Dwight Clark is that famous from a football standpoint, not just in the Niners community. And then what he just has meant, everything he went through after his career, the way that he brings people together. I think that's part of what's really special about 87 Day is like guys come together to celebrate his legacy and his memory, but it creates a reunion, you know, from something that was sad, his passing. It created something really special. And I know it's one of the most anticipated days of the year. It's definitely one of the most anticipated days at training camp, to be able to see everybody come together and guys having fun and laughing and sharing memories and doing it with current players, right? Current players getting to, I think that's part of what's so special of at the college level, you see it a lot. At the pro level, how do you have that connective tissue from generation to generation to generation, right? This franchise now, this is year 80, going all the way back into the city. It is so many moments in history that are connected by the people because they stay around and they come back around. And like,
they work for us too. So many of our alumni to come back to just be faces, to be present, like to have a presence in the locker room. Keena Turner, for instance, is you know, always showing face. Patrick Willis and Frank Gore have an office in 4949, you know, and just I think that's one thing the 49ers do so well, and it's representative of this 87 Day, is it's not just when you're out, you're out. You know, our alumni network is so strong, and it's indicative of, you know, not only the coaching staff, but also ownership.
Yeah, that's right. You really feel the sense of 49ers family on 87 Day. We're all going to be wearing matching 87 Day shirts. You're going to see the alumni in them, the players, coaches, staff, fans. And so it's really a time to commemorate the legacy of Dwight Clark and everything that he stood for. And all of the profits from tickets that day are actually going to the ALS community, which is just an amazing day all around.
Isn't it crazy? Like, this guy, he has one of the most iconic moments in all of sports history. But when you think about it, like, that's not what he's remembered for, like, truly inside the building and around the organization. And that says a lot about him.
Yeah, not only what he did, because everyone in the football world knows what he did for this 49ers organization, but who he was. Yeah. It's so fun to see everyone laughing and having such conversation about the type of guy he was, the type of teammate he was. So it's just awesome to give him his love on 87 Day. Now we're diving into Tuesday, August 11th, which is joint practice with the Titans here in Santa Clara. And then our preseason game will be Thursday, August 13th against the Titans. What are we looking forward to when it comes to joint practice? Because it's going to be new faces. There's going to be a little bit more competition. Yeah. Brooke, when you're seeing the same guys, you know, at practice every single day, how fun will it be to see the Titans out there with them?
Oh, so fun. I mean, it brings a whole different dynamic into it. We have Cam Ward that's going to be out there. Everyone's going to be excited to see that. And it's just really interesting to see the players interact with each other because it's such a big community for them. And just to really get it, you know, started off early before we really jump into the season. Preseason is always a really fun time for not only the players, but for us on the staff. But there's just a lot to be seen, especially during a joint practice.
What is important about the first preseason game, especially for those rookies, newcomers, some of the names and faces the faithful might not know?
Well, Robert Saleh's pregame hug. That'll be one thing. But I think this team's so interesting because they've got rookies that are going to be expected to contribute. They've got second-year guys who were rookies last year, like Jordan Watkins, who was having a really good camp before he got hurt, had, you know, a really good start to that preseason game, that first preseason game against Denver, and then got hurt. So there are guys who haven't had that opportunity yet, who've maybe been in the program, in the system for a year. And there are guys who are brand new that are going to need to contribute right away. Like we saw last year how important depth is over the course of a season. And, you know, the core of this team is in its late 20s, its early 30s, you know, Brock's mid-late 20s. But that next group of guys are part of the bridge to the next window. Right. And so that, like, you only get so much time. Like once the season starts, there is no time to develop left.
Yeah.
Like you got to be ready to roll right away. And so being able to get reps that first preseason game for guys like that is huge.
So after the first preseason game against the Titans, the team then travels down south to face the Chargers, both in a joint practice on Tuesday, August 18th. Thursday, August 20th is that preseason game. They roll on to Vegas where they'll face the Raiders Thursday, August 27th. And then Thursday, August 30th is the mandatory cut to 53 players on this roster. What's it going to take for a player to carve themselves out on this already dominant roster? Brooke, what are you looking for when you're watching the rookies out there on the field, some of the newcomers? How does someone make their spark but also let their name be known?
Yeah, I think a really big thing in our locker room and what the guys and the veterans consistently say is that leadership element. How are those guys coming out there and showing up, especially those rookies? And the preseason games, like Hayes was just saying, are so imperative for these guys to get those reps and really get their name out there and get their name known. So I think that leadership and how their mental is when they come into this locker room and how they show up every single day is huge for this organization.
Alfred Collins had a great training camp last year, and it translated into the season.
Yeah.
That's, I think when you think of a storyline where like training camp goes into, reps from training camp go into, all of a sudden it's Thursday night football and he's got to punch out at the 1 yard line, and that's all those reps from training camp really lead into that.
Ricky Pearsall was another guy last year that when Juwan Jennings went out, I was like, oh my God, Ricky is dominating. And then the first week before he got hurt, the first month of the season, he was one of the most prolific, productive receivers in the league. So there is a lot out of these practices that really is an indication. And I think the other thing you realize when you watch it is like there's like 3 spots or 4 spots or whatever it is.
It's crazy.
It's like there's just competition.
The competition's so tight.
Yeah, and I think it's also to that point, it's staying ready. It's those guys that are able to fill the spots when their name is called. So it's like looking at the mentality of them and their strength when it comes to that in training camp.
It'll be fun because John talked about how mature this draft class is and how these guys are already ready to enter an NFL locker room. And they understand what a practice schedule looks like at the NFL level. So now we get to see it come to life and we lay down the foundation just a few days away. We've got training camp on the docket. So what we're going to do is we're going to share some of the storylines we're going to be watching as we enter camp this year. Brooke, I'll start it off with you. What are you most looking forward to as we get out there at the SAP Performance Facility?
I mean, so many things that I'm looking forward to, so many points that we can hit on. But one of the things is definitely that wide receiver room. Everyone's got their eyes on there. We had a flashy offseason when it came to that, acquiring Mike Evans from the Bucs, Christian Kirk from the Texans. So definitely a lot of eyes when it comes to that. Mike Evans actually spoke at OTAs on adjusting to Brock Purdy because obviously that's a big thing that a wide receiver is going to need to do, and same for Purdy. And he said Purdy is one of the reasons why he came over to the 49ers. And I think that's huge. And I think that there's also a lot of eyes on Ricky Pearsall as well. And, taking kind of the reins when it comes to being a leader and a vet on this team. And then obviously Deshaun Stribling from our 2026 draft class. Lots of eyes there. So I'm definitely excited for that. I'm also really excited because the NFC West has been one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL for years, and it's shaping up to be one of the most competitive for this upcoming year again. Obviously we have Arizona, the Cardinals, in a new era under Mike LaFleur. They have an interesting quarterback situation. They don't have Kyler Murray anymore, so who they're going to turn to? Maybe it's Brissett. And they just have a lot of young talent, so they're trying to figure out their identity. I think we're going to see them in week 3 for our second home game. And then the Rams, they're all in after having quite the offseason, headlining a lot of news out there, adding Myles Garrett. They're keeping Stafford around. So I think this might be the 49ers' toughest competition on paper. So we'll have to see what happens there. Week 1, down under, Australia. Super excited for that. And then Seattle, defending Super Bowl champs. And it's going to be really interesting to see how they're going to avoid that championship hangover, right? So we're going to see them actually.
We should all be so blessed as to have to avoid a championship hangover, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean,
so we will see them at Seattle in week 5. But what are your takes on the NFC West and all the points?
Yeah, I think look at what Seattle did last year defensively, and even the Rams. I mean, I think one thing the Niners, it wasn't a surprise, but to be as efficient as they were, the second most efficient offense in the league last year with basically two different quarterbacks, with a run game that, I thought it was a heroic year from Christian McCaffrey, but from an efficiency standpoint, it wasn't what we're used to from a Shanahan run game. The offense is going, done. You can check off. It's going to be fine. This team is going to go as far as the defense takes them. So when do we see Nick Bosa back on the field?
Right.
And Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner running around out there together. Like, those are the things I think, as you think about training camp, like, Diggy Zoo is a great but like, this thing's going to go as far as that defense can take them. And it's got the potential, if it's healthy,
right,
to be a really impactful, dynamic, disruptive defense, which is what they need.
No, look, I think that we're also a really tough competitor. Like, they're probably talking about us too, and all the points that you bring up. Like, our offense checked off that list. Our defense is going to shape up to how it is, and I think Arizona, LA, and the Seattle Seahawks are all going to have eyes on us as well as we go into training camp and week 1 in Australia. But Aubrey, how about the wide receiver situation and what that room is going to look like?
It's so exciting. With Pearsall back and with the addition of Mike Evans, he's going to bring something that I think the wide receiver room hasn't seen in a few years, with just an incredible presence. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Purdy and Mike Evans are going to do together, and how quickly off the bat they can kind of come together. Like we were saying with training camp, that's where these reps in training camp are going to come in.
And the fact that Dejon Stribling and Mike Evans are going to share the same wide receiver room. They're going to be taking and sharing notes from one another. A future Hall of Famer with this newcomer on the scene who has been talked about a lot this offseason with the 49ers' first draft pick. And so it's exciting to see how they're going to learn from each other and how they're going to work off each other when we get to those training camp practices. I just can't wait for those highlight clips of Mike Evans and Dejon Stribling making those crazy catches and them going viral online. We're in store for a really entertaining camp.
I see it as similar being with Kittle and Tonjes a little bit, where from the get-go, Tonjes was under Kittle's wing, and there was, like, let's say, no competition between them because they were always just trying to make each other better. Like, I hope that it plays out, that storyline, just with Mike Evans and Strib.
Yeah.
And by the way, Strib did his combine prep in Los Gatos, by the way. So he is familiar with the Bay Area. So I'm sure he's loving
Hawaii native out here. He loves the West Coast. And I also think too with like Ricky, I think that there's definitely going to be eyes on him, and I think that he has the opportunity to step up to be a real leader in that room as well. So excited to see that all shake out. A lot of new faces for Purdy to throw to.
Yeah.
So it should be exciting.
It's hard not, like, once we get going, to not name just like every position.
Just going down the list.
But, there's always discussion, and every year he answers the bell, Christian McCaffrey. Last year Jordan James, Christian kept him off the field just because you didn't really need another back.
If he
and
was,
now Kaylan Black comes along. Like,
he's
I think
great.
when we talk about preseason games, we're like, okay, what are we going to be looking forward to week 1? Or I think Curtis Rourke will be a popular one, rightfully. But I think those backs, because what you first and foremost, it's, do you protect the ball and can you protect the quarterback? Like, that's how you get on the field at running back for Kyle Shanahan, right? And so Jordan James has a head start because he's been a year. But Kaylan Black, to your point, like, he's an experienced player, and he played for a very demanding coach at Indiana, a very successful program. Kurt Signetti won the national championship. So, like, these are all guys that have the opportunity to hit the ground running, but are also in crowded places. Like, you think, rookie receiver, second-round pick, Dejon Stribling. There's no scholarships. There's no free snaps. Yeah. That receiver room is is crowded with guys who know what it takes.
For sure.
So there's a lot to prove for all those guys, but conversely, you need them to prove it because you're going to need them.
Yeah, and that's what makes these camp practices so exciting. There's so many layers to the conversation here. Aubrey, what are you most looking forward to as you get out to those sidelines?
I really enjoy watching the special teams. Like, that's honestly, because last year that was such a storyline from last year with our special teams.
Their glow up was just insane.
Their glow up. I love that. I'm going to use that. Their glow up. Yeah. Eddie P coming in week 2 and just dominating. We basically sold out Eddie P jerseys halfway through the year because of how well he was doing. He missed one.
Is that true?
Yes. No, I actually don't know that. Context. But missing one field goal all year last year. Just incredible. And it was like a
Yeah.
69.
He was a weapon.
Yeah. He was. He was.
And it was one of the first things that John Lynch had to cross off on his off-season to-do list was locking him in here in the Bay Area. So the faithful love Eddie P, and so does the front office.
Yep. He signed a 4-year extension back in March. That was one of the quickest signs we got. I think we signed Eddie P and Mike Evans, I think, within a couple weeks of each other.
What a great time this offseason.
Yep. And we brought in a punter who's from Australia, by the way, originally. So that's going to be a great storyline. That's Jack Bouwmeester. And he's going to join our veteran punter with Corliss Waitman. So that'll also be a bit of a battle on the field as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Brooke, you chopped it up with some Aussie fans during that FIFA game. Yep. Tell me about the crossover from football to what they were here for as a football game. But tell us more about the Australian fan base with that being our first game and the punter coming on the scene.
Oh my gosh, you guys, these Australian fans are no joke.
They already sold out.
Yeah, they were crazy. And I'm sure, as you've seen, the game was a tie. There was no goal scored. It was 0-0. And they were chanting like they won the Super Bowl. It was crazy, but it was so awesome to see the passion there. And I also got to speak with, what's his name? Robert Irwin during Super Bowl. And we brought up the fact that we were going down to Australia in week 1. And he said that players there and fans there are just so excited for this. Like, there's so many fans that are fans of the NFL that don't get to actually see it in real life. They get to finally watch a game, see the players, touch them, whatever it is in person. Not actually touch them, but you know what I mean. So I think they're super excited. And these Australian fans are seriously NFL fans. And I think it's because a lot of them play in those fantasy leagues, but they all knew Christian McCaffrey. That's how
you connect.
It is crazy. I did this little Q&A with them when I was outside of Levi Stadium, and it was a little game of name this player. And they all knew Christian McCaffrey. They all knew George Kittle. They all knew Purdy. There was a few mixed answers in between there. Someone said Thor for George Kittle, so I love that. But
Same thing,
right? No, but we get to go and educate them on, the 49ers and all that tradition. And I think that they're super excited for that.
Yeah, Aubrey mentioned this glow up of the special teams unit from that 2025 season. How exciting was it to watch from the booth? And not only that, but we got to chop it up with some of the 49ers coaching staff this offseason. Did you get in touch with our special teams coordinator? What did you have to hear about how this team was really able to turn around on the special team side?
Well, I think you saw even before the season last year, there was a level of trust that Kyle was putting into special teams. And then obviously you had to change kickers, which made it a little hairy. And you thought, well, this is a bad start. So Eddie was a savior, to the kicking game. And I think, you go back to what you said about like from the boot. It was just, to me, what was remarkable is as you started getting to midfield, okay, you're getting the range. Because when Eddie Pinheiro got signed, the scouting report was not, he's a booming kicker. Like everybody's kicking 62-yard field
the whole
goals.
league has been crazy.
But that wasn't his rep was he's accurate, but it wasn't that he's like a 3-point. He was not Steph Curry, right?
Yeah.
And then he was hitting he was not just consistent. He was hitting deep balls, and clutch. Yeah. And clutch the game winner against when does Kyle Shanahan have to tell the kicker hey man, stop are you mad at those guys? Why are you acting like that towards the Cardinals sideline? He was like, no, he was just fired up. So that was a guy that really believed in himself and then made everybody else believe in him.
It's got a lot of passion.
A lot of passion. And you got to win on the road. You got to win in the playoffs. You got, but this is the place that everybody talks about. Can you kick here? Mm-hmm. Because the win's unpredictable, and he did. And I to be able to answer that question. Now there's a question about punting, but to be able to answer that question that emphatically, that early, I think gave Kyle Shanahan a lot of confidence and allowed him to be really. To have conviction with, hey, this, it's okay. We're going to kick a field goal here, and that's going to be a good thing because we're going to get 3 points out of it. It was it changed everything.
It does, and it changes an offense's perspective too. When you do come up a little bit short, the play calls, how aggressively you have to push for this first down when you know that you have 3 points sitting behind you, on the bench. Yeah.
Hey, but you mentioned Eddie Piñeiro's sort of rivalry against the Cardinals.
The Cardinals didn't know about it. Nobody else knew about it, but Eddie knew about it.
That's one of the biggest NFC West battles, actually. We're going to watch pan out throughout the season. But no, those two Cardinals games, it was so fun to see him close it off. Now, early season game when it was at home against the Cardinals. But then when we were on the road in Arizona, it made me think back to that time Sky Moore almost was just so close from returning that kick. And so it brings up the question, with him not here anymore, who are we looking at when it comes to kick returner, punt returner?
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity for Jacob Cowing, we've talked about him a couple times. More receivers get added around him, on top of him, but the opportunity exists for him, because of his speed. I think that's the first guy you have to look at. That's the first guy you'd want. I think, if you could choose, you'd say, well, that guy. But again, how do you also got to contribute? So there's so many good receivers, potentially. The receiver room's deep. But I think that's where you start.
Yeah, I think that's a position definitely that we're going to be tracking throughout the course of camp as we get closer to the season starting. Now, Habes, what's a storyline you've got your eye on? What are some of your biggest notes going to be as we're out there on the sidelines?
Yeah, I think the other running back, right? You try to pick things that are like, okay, what's a little off the board or whatever. But I think the point about that Aubrey made about Mike Evans is a big one. Let's not go too far off the board. There's 12 guys that could be captains on this team.
That's right.
Health, obviously, Bosa, Kittle, all that stuff. But in terms of camp, I think just watching Mike Evans, because I think for Mike, this is going to be a little bit of a different year. Both Raheem Morris and Clay Kubiak referred to using Mike Evans the way he's always been used, and maybe using Mike Evans some other ways. And so the question is well, what does that mean exactly, right? Mike Evans is so good at going down the sideline and being one of the best, he's one of the best deep threats in the NFL. And what he brings to the Niners when he brings that, the Niners have not had that type of, they've had other, they do hit deep balls, but not that type of deep ball. But then conversely, what is Mike Evans? What has he not done a lot of that the Niners do a lot of, right? And so I think he's going to move around a little more probably than he's done in his career. I think, his what are you replacing? You're replacing Juwan, right? Whose physicality and height would show up a lot on 3rd and long and in the red zone. And so here comes Mike Evans now to play with a quarterback who throws over the middle a lot. Brock is really confident throwing over the middle, and a big target is a big deal. So all that, that stuff. Now, you will see it more in camp there probably than in preseason games. But, the biggest storyline to me, without a doubt, is this defense. This defense, if they can go from where they were last year getting after the quarterback at the bottom of the league to just the middle, if you get Bosa, I have a hard time believing this team's going to be in the middle. To me, if they're healthy, they've got to be in the top 3rd of the league in terms of pressure, just because Raheem's too good as a defensive coordinator and they're just too talented.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. This is going to be a reestablishing of an already dominant 49ers defense. The rookies last year, they came in and they did their thing and they made sure that they did what they could to take the Niners as far as they could. But you're talking about major stars returning. Warner and Greenlaw back in the fold, their reunion, some new additions. We've got Osa Odigizua now on the line, Nick Bosa coming back, all now under Raheem Morris, who made history out in Atlanta. So I want to hear from y'all, which young defender has the best chance to really make an immediate impact in camp?
I also think Michael Williams is also another one that we're excited to see back. And again, I just think seeing these guys, it's just going to be so exciting during camp. Seeing them all back together. And like you mentioned, it is going to be very new under Raheem Morris coming from Atlanta. But he also came from the LA Rams, where he happened to win a Super Bowl there as the DC. Just happened to win, right? So I think, when you talk about the NFC West competition, what better than bringing in a guy who knows that team, right? Knows it a little bit, knows that structure. So I think that's going to be really interesting to watch. And I think our coaches here, I've definitely noticed the way that Morris is. He's not coming in trying to overhaul this whole defense. He wants to just focus on the stars that are here and how to build that defense up. And one of the coaches, Jerry Gray, our defensive passing game coordinator, put it perfectly. He said he's not worried about putting his stamp on it. He's worried about how can I get these guys to play at a high level and win a Super Bowl. So, Morris, given the fact that he has experience coaching on both sides of the ball, I think is amazing. And I think that we could expect a little bit more versatility maybe up front. We're going to still have that traditional 4 down front that we're used to seeing in our 49ers defense. But I do think that he is going to try to mix things up a little bit, and I think it's going to be positive for our players and all the returning guys coming back for sure.
I'm so happy to see Michael. Was I think just last year he immediately kind of became a fan favorite, I think. Yeah. And so I'm so happy to just maybe see him have an incredibly healthy season as a second year as well.
Yeah, I mean, they just rely on him a lot. Like he needs to be like the future, he's a big part of the future. Yeah. I got to go Upton Stout because, I think we saw it 2 years ago. It's one thing to make an impact as a rookie. It's another thing to make an impact when now the offseason was spent counting on you. Right, the expectations go up, your responsibilities go up, and so being good as a rookie is one thing when there's a little less expected. But what about when you come back and the other team now knows that you're a big time dude? Like we're talking about the Cardinals game at home. Eddie Pinheiro doesn't make a game-winning kick if Upton Stout doesn't break up a third down.
Yeah. That's right.
Like would have been a first down.
Right.
But now when everybody's expecting it of you is when you got to prove it again. And so like he's got to take another step this year. He is so like he fits the mold from a culture standpoint, right? And like that's the guy I want to see. I want to see, does he get another year better? Because that's critical.
And Alfred Collins as well.
Yes, exactly.
Alfred Collins.
Yeah. Everyone across the football world talks about that second year for players and how important it is for them. Do you rise to the occasion or do you sort of get that sophomore year slump? So Alfred Collins, Upton Stout are definitely the eyes that we're going to be looking at when it comes to training camp, preseason, and as we get into the start of 2026. For sure. And someone who knows a ton about this defense and we're going to pick his brain on is NFL Network's Steve Wyche. Here he is right now. All right, faithful, now joining us on the Saloon is NFL Network's chief national reporter, Steve Wyche. Steve, welcome to the Saloon. How are you? How was your offseason?
Well, Brianna, thanks so much for having me in the Saloon. Looking forward to it. The offseason's been great, but the offseason is pretty much over as training camp is kicking off, so I'm excited.
To get things started, I want to go right off the bat. I heard you on the Insiders talk a little bit about the 49ers defense, and I want to pick your brain on new defensive coordinator at 49ers HQ, Raheem Morris. What makes his defenses so effective at creating pressure, and what can you expect from him leading this Niners squad?
Yeah, I mean, first off, getting the healthy players back, getting Nick Bosa back, getting Fred Warner back, adding Dre Greenlaw back into the mix is going to be huge. But with Raheem, he's very strategic in terms of playing to his personnel and timely pressures, right? He's not someone who's going to come off the bus blitzing or do this and that. He may let a team get comfortable over a quarter and then hit them with all kinds of stuff coming here and there. And he also is a very good halftime adjustment guy on defense. So you're going to see a lot of created pressures, a lot of tricky things where he may give you false pressures and drop back into coverage. He's just very sound with what he does. That's why his defenses are always good. Look at last year in Atlanta. This is the team that barely had 20 sacks a couple of years ago. I think they ended up with more than 50 last year. So the pressure on the quarterback, which was an issue for the 49ers last year, that will change as long as everyone stays healthy.
Well, training camp should be fun as we watch him guide some of the younger guys on defense and then some of the stars returning to the field for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, we're looking at year 10 for a few key figures. I'm talking Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk. Thoughts on what the 49ers have sustained and built for the future here?
Well, in terms of sustaining, the fact that Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle made it to 10 years in their careers is an astounding accomplishment. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, they can go ahead and manage and coach for the next 20 years, right? They don't have to go out there and take the physical pounding. But, you look at where they started, Brianna, it was really, really tough. And what they had to steadily build with a plan, with the quarterback changes, from Jimmy G to Brock Purdy, which is a result of injuries. But they did such a good job of planning for it and developing players. They were ready for when Jimmy got hurt. The number of coaches that have turned over, that have come through that building, assistants like Robert Saleh going on and getting head coaching jobs, and D'Amico Ryans and guys like that. And the fact that Kyle and his staff keep coaching other guys up. So they've got a certain system that works. They stick to the process while also evolving with all of the current trends that a lot of them they set themselves, but a lot of the things that have happened around the NFL. So look, the model works. We're seeing everybody from kind of Kyle's tree, the Sean McVay tree. Now the model in terms of personnel evaluation and the acquisition of player talent all over the NFL. So they got something good working, and that's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, and for Kyle Juszczyk, this is 10 years with the 49ers, but
How about that?
He was a free agent that came over with John and Kyle back in 2017. They drafted George Kittle, and what a group to be honored as they enter their 10th year here at the organization. Now, which newcomer entering their first year, or who knows, maybe it's their first year with the 49ers, it could be a rookie, it could be a free agent, an off-season acquisition, has the best chance to make an immediate impact out at camp?
Well, I think Zahn Stribling, the wide receiver draft pick, is someone a lot of people are looking at. I know when he was drafted there early in the second round, a lot of people are like, why would they pick him? Well, first off, they've got to bolster that position. But now after the offseason that he had, you're hearing more and more talk about like, oh, man, we wish you would have drafted him. Like, this is a guy who's going to be a really good player. So I think because it is a position of need, it is a position where if he plays out to his skill set, it's going to open up this offense a lot more, potentially make the 49ers more explosive. That's the young player I know I'll have my eye on, and I'm sure I'm not going to be the only one with that view.
And the NFC West has been a hot topic this offseason, but honestly, throughout the past few years in the NFL. So when we talk Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks, and Niners, what do you think will be the toughest challenge for San Francisco in 2026?
Boy, I mean, look, Seattle's still the team to beat. I mean, I know it's hard for a Super Bowl champion to repeat, but they're still a young team with the appropriate veterans. The coaches know each other well. Mike McDonald has had some success against Kyle. So that's going to be a challenge. And then we all know the battles that the Niners and the Rams have. They're always exciting. They're always good. None of the teams like each other. So that's, another thing that makes the NFC West so challenging.
That's right. The Niners will be wearing their Nike rivalries uniforms this year against the Rams. So that's definitely a fun rivalry we like to keep up with throughout all of football. Now, final question for you, Steve. Besides health, which I feel like is the obvious answer here, but what do you think the biggest key to the 49ers season this year is?
They have to get back to putting pressure on the quarterback. I mean, that's the thing. Injuries really decimated them last year. But if they get Bosa back, some of the younger players start to develop, some of the players that they did acquire on the defensive front can get after the quarterback, that's just going to make it a lot easier. It's not going to put as much pressure on the offense to score points. They can get back to being who they were. That is going to be absolutely crucial. So I think that's the main factor for San Francisco to make another Super Bowl run.
Well, Steve, a lot to look forward to as we work our way towards camp. Report day is this Saturday. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Briana.
All right, faithful. Now we're back here at the table, and I've got some exciting off-season news as well. This will be my last podcast of the 2026 season just because I am stepping away for the season on maternity leave. I am going to be raising a new member of the faithful. My husband, Allende, and I are expecting a little baby boy this fall. So we're going to have another member of the 49ers family cheering us on throughout the 2026 season. But 2025 has been a blast. I'm so excited to just watch from the sidelines.
I know, you get a little different view.
A little further from the sidelines, actually at home with my family. I'll be cheering y'all on, cheering on this team. But yeah, I'll definitely be back. I'm not leaving, just stepping away from the pod and from some content coverage as I start a family here in Santa Clara. So that's where I'll be.
Travel 3,000 miles around the globe with a baby boy?
No, it'll be a fresh baby boy as soon as football season starts. So I'll be sleepless, but still watching every single kickoff, which I'm really looking forward to.
Congratulations. We are so excited for you.
Thank
and we're
you,
going to hold down the fort as best as we can while you are out. We actually have a surprise for you that comes pretty good pairing with this announcement. Little baby 49er jersey.
That thing is so small.
It's so small.
Was Is your son
perfect.
that small?
Let me see.
Believe it or not,
I don't
yeah,
believe it. I
that's
don't believe
amazing.
they
You gotta
come.
show
Habes, I'm going to need some parenting advice as well as we talk
Okay,
Niners this season.
Take all the video. This is going to be. I think this will be your favorite 49ers season.
Yeah,
ever.
yeah.
It's going to be.
How
It's going to be
special.
awesome. Yeah, it's
Habes,
gonna be
you were a
special.
new parent last season also.
Yeah, still am.
So you know what? How about I get some advice on the podcast right now? What was it like navigating a football season with a newborn?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough, but everyone says this, and it's so true. It blows your mind. You want to take photos, take videos, and make them be 7 minutes long. Because I look at those videos now, and I'm like, oh my God, you're never going to be. My wife said to me the other day, she's like, his nose is changing. It's getting a little bigger. I'm like, oh my God, I'll never see that little button nose again. So I just watch videos
So
all the
sweet.
time.
This
So
is
take
so
all the
sweet.
videos.
Absolutely.
You're gonna have such a great
Yeah.
time.
I have baby names. You want some?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do
49er.
it.
49er
Baby
baby names,
names.
okay?
I'm listening. I'm
So
taking notes.
I was just told before this that you're having a boy, but if it was a girl, Goldie would have been
How
so
adorable.
cute, or Scarlet. But boy, okay, Levi, obviously.
Obviously.
Okay, I think Lot would be a pretty good one. L-O-T-T,
Okay.
as in Ronnie Lot.
Yeah.
But here's some crazy ones that ChatGPT came up with. Broccoli.
Broccoli.
We also have George Little.
George Littlepole.
How about Kyle Shanababy?
This is
Isn't
getting
that crazy?
crazy.
Just, yeah.
You know what?
ChatGPT is
They're
crazy.
great.
I think Lot's pretty. Like you're
They're on the
reconsidering.
list.
I can tell.
I was like,
I
wait
think
a
so.
minute.
Lot was my choice. Yeah. Or Montana.
Classic.
Yeah.
Walt.
I
Yeah.
mean, but we're setting the bar so high for this baby boy with these names, y'all. But I mean,
And
it's
he
gonna
has to
be
be fitted up.
it's gonna be a game time decision. Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
they're on my list.
Oh, it is. Good. Yeah.
When
just
it comes
add
to
a
the
Kyle
name.
Put him
How
in
long
the
is the list?
uniform, the little thing, and then you can come up with the name once it fits.
Thanks to ChatGPT, now even longer. How funny. But seriously,
We're
y'all,
so
thank you
happy.
so much, Faithful. Thank you so much for tuning in all throughout the off season as I was traveling while pregnant. It was wild, but I'm really excited to start on this new journey, and the new journey for the 49ers Podcast Network, because we've got friends in the building now that are going to help support content
Yes.
coverage throughout camp in the season. So all throughout training camp, Faithful, if you aren't here in person, the tickets are already sold out. Do not stress, because we're still going to have all the information, all the fun you need to know, thanks to Aubrey, Brooke, Habes, who are going to be at camp every single day, even when practice is closed to the fans. So you'll be getting
I get to come to practice when it's close to the fans.
Oh, yes. Still
Oh,
open.
wow. Habes,
As a
Yes.
49er insider,
Wow.
we got
Yes.
our eyes peeled. But
Always.
we're
Have
going
you
to be...
cleared
check
that?
that.
You got me clearance for that?
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah. She
Always-
knows some people.
Yeah, we're going to be posting daily on 49ers.com.
That's
So
right.
keep checking that. We're going to have a few more episodes of The Saloon. So excited for all of us to be here and more eyes being insiders. Super fun.
Faithful. Make sure you stay tuned to 49ers.com, because Brooke is going to give you daily camp updates. We're talking bullet points from every segment of practice. Aubrey's going to be taking over the Saloon for training camp hosting, showing all of the biggest highlights from camp. Habes, we're going to hear your voice over these games, and I'm so excited to hear what storylines now come to life as we enter camp. And that doesn't stop there, because throughout the 2026 season, there's also going to be a lot of fun to be had. So, Brooke, Aubrey, Habes, thank you all for so much for stepping in, leading the content coverage here. Faithful, you're not going to miss a beat.
Yeah.
Can't wait to
We
see you at
will-
a game with a baby.
Oh,
I know. We're going to have a little
Little
family on the
Faithful.
sidelines. So it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, Faithful, there is going to be a lot happening throughout camp, throughout the 2026 season, and you don't want to miss any of it. So make sure you subscribe to The Saloon presented by Cisco on YouTube, SiriusXM, and all your favorite podcast platforms. We'll see you next time.